elbow and I'm feeling cool for the summer. Not because I'm wearing shorts, but because Singapore just hit its property market with some drastic cooling measures. Now, all the way over here in Hong Kong, this gets me thinking, how might Singapore's cooling measures benefit Hong Kong's property market? How can Hong Kong capitalize on this? And will Hong Kong capitalize on this? Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Square Foot for all things Hong Kong real estate. Now let's get started. One thing that you'll need to know is that all homeowners are expected to pay what's called buyer's stamp duty in Singapore. Consider this your usual tax that you'd pay for any residential or commercial properties that you own. However, things get a little trickier if you're a foreigner, a permanent resident, or somebody who owns multiple properties in Singapore. For you, on top of buyer's stamp duty, you'll also have to pay additional buyer's stamp duty, ABSD for short. It's a kind of measure designed to cool the property market, prevent prices from rising too much, hence the term cooling measures. That is where our story begins. On the 27th of April, a wave of cooling measures swept the city-state. A lot of numbers incoming, but don't click off, stay. First things first, the Singapore government doubled the ABSD for foreigners from 30% to a whopping 60%. For non-developers buying a home as a company or trust, the ABSD was increased from the original 35% to 65%. As for Singaporeans buying a second home, the ABSD rose from 17% to 20%, while locals purchasing their third and subsequent home now have to fork out 30% instead of the original 25%. On the whole, people were confused. Previously, just 6% of Singapore homebuyers were foreigners, and half these foreigners held US passports where stamp duty doesn't even apply. So what gives? Why did the government double stamp duty for foreigners?
I think the government is worried that the house prices are rising way too fast and the rental market is also overheating. So something has to give.
Essentially, the government wanted to reduce investment demand, and to do that, they had to increase home prices significantly. The city-state had launched a set of new initiatives to promote business development, and it worked. More foreigners relocating to Singapore meant greater demand for housing, which meant more expensive home prices. Just last year, private property prices soared by 9%. As a result, it became much harder for locals to purchase property at affordable prices, and the government tightened its local cooling measures for foreigners. Here's the thing, the introduction of cooling measures is not a surprise. What is surprising is that while trying to attract top talent, the government suddenly doubled the additional buyer's stamp duty for foreign home buyers. This could really put off foreigners from buying a home in Singapore. Or would it?
I think the foreign buyers, they have panicked a little bit because there is some fraction who do buy, and now they're worried that how can I afford to buy a property in Singapore by paying such a huge ABSD on any property transaction I do. Now, what the consequence of this will be that those foreign buyers will start applying for their permanent residency ASAP, because once they get permanent residency, that reduces their ABSD significantly. So, you can say the externality of this policy is there will be many more applications to become permanent residents.
Dr. Agarwal added that though foreign demand will persist, there will be a shift from Chinese buyers to US buyers who are currently exempted from ABSD. We also spoke to Philip Chan, president of the Kowloon Club, a community for Singapore immigrants primarily from Hong Kong. Philip shared his outlook on the Singapore property market.
我諗影響比較大啲係可能嗰啲豪宅，因為你如果所謂嗰啲豪宅咧，我覺得就或者起碼都800萬波子或以上啦，甚至1000萬、2000萬。但係反而係商業地產，因為商業地產如果以投資者嚟計，投資個唔係一定要買住宅㗎嘛，咁你可以買 commercial industrial property 商業同工業地產，咁而at this moment 嚟講咧，商業同工業地產都係冇特別印花稅。
As it stands, the long-term outlook for Singapore's property market remains unclear. To start with, foreigners comprised only 6% of the market, which isn't a lot, and it's a number that's since fallen to 4%. So it seems that so far, foreign demand has only cooled just a little bit. Either way, it's been a little over a month since stamp duty was doubled for foreigners. Any big market shifts will have to be revealed in time. Let's turn from Singapore to Hong Kong. The two cities have had a well-documented, healthy rivalry. They've gone head-to-head against each other for years in everything from education to food. Both are small port cities that used to be British colonies, and both are huge Asian financial centers that have achieved huge economic success in an impressively short time. But a place where Hong Kong and Singapore really differ is in their property cooling measures.
基本上唔好話100%，90幾個 percent， 即係接近每一個新加坡，我而家講新加坡 citizen， 基本上每一個 citizen 自己都會有屋嘅，因為佢哋相對嚟講好容易就買到嗰啲組屋，有HDB flat。
So while Singapore remains one of the world's most expensive property markets, we can still see that hasn't stopped them from having one of the world's highest home ownership rates. But for Hong Kong, also one of the world's most expensive property markets, a big problem persists. Many locals can still barely afford second-hand property.
好多人都係一路打工，就算你結婚因為居住環境又唔好大啦，一路住喺父母屋企啦，亦都唔方便啦，相見好同住難。好多時咧，嗰啲年青夫婦如果買唔起樓，俾唔起首期，咁咪變咗租樓先咯，係嘛？你越租樓就越儲唔到錢，呢個最大呢個問題。
Why isn't Hong Kong taking drastic action like Singapore? It's a delicate situation. Hong Kong wants to attract more talent. The most straightforward solution would therefore be to relax cooling measures. Tighten them too much, property prices start falling and homeowners face negative equity. Loosen them too much, great, Hong Kong gets talent. Not so great, property prices soar uncontrollably. As such, the Hong Kong government has had no plans to adjust or remove stamp duty. In August last year, the city's financial secretary said that there were no plans or intention to remove cooling measures. He added, "We can't see the property market has any risk of falling off a cliff. Often there are slight fluctuations. Our policy direction and aims are not affected by short-term fluctuations." So what do Hong Kong's cooling measures look like then, on paper? Let's check them out. Stamp duty rates on Hong Kong residential property are comparatively low. For instance, they were recently dropped for first-time buyers, meaning that the 100 Hong Kong dollars stamp duty was raised from 2 million Hong Kong dollars to 3 million Hong Kong dollars. First-time buyers just have to pay up to 4.25% of the sales price on homes worth more than 21.7 million Hong Kong dollars. Non-permanent residents, on the other hand, have to pay an additional 15% in ad valorem stamp duty, on top of the 15% that they already have to pay for buyer's stamp duty. Added all up, foreigners will have to pay a total of 30% in stamp duty on their purchases. Of course, buyer's stamp duty in Hong Kong is much lighter than Singapore's 60%. But a reduction of 10 to 20% in stamp duty could potentially draw more foreign investors to buy property in Hong Kong. Nonetheless, considering the city's 5-year whirlwind of events, it's hard to say whether just adjusting stamp duty for foreign buyers will be enough to attract them. The keyword here is nuance.
Hong Kong has more fundamental problems. And that all is causing lots of anxiety among foreigners and corporations to be in Hong Kong or move away to Singapore or other places. So I think just by removing stamp duty may have a small effect, but I think they need to think more broadly on terms of policy on how that will affect Hong Kong and attract both talent and capital.
From this, we can gather that Hong Kong will have to take a multi-pronged approach to attract foreign talent. But Philip remains optimistic about the number of Hong Kongers that may return to the city.
我覺得而家可能會翻香港嘅人慢慢會多翻，因為最主要開放翻。因為之前有一段時間咪國際關又冇通，跟住大陸關又冇通嘅嚇。咁最後舊年年底先至通翻嘅。
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more real estate content like this. Bye!